You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa. Sports Studios in Los Angeles. Here's Kevin Wyatt.
NFL news this morning. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones appeared on 105.3 FM The Fan in Dallas and announced that quarterback Dak Prescott will be out for some time.
It's extended period of time here, so I wouldn't dare make a prediction when it could be. It's likely we'll IR him, so we'll see kind of how his rehab goes.
Injured reserve would have Prescott miss at least the next 4 games. The Cowboys making a trade this morning, acquiring Panthers wide receiver Jonathan Mingo in exchange for a 4th-round selection. The Detroit Lions are acquiring Browns pass rusher Zadarius Smith. They'll also get a 2026 7th-round pick in exchange for a 2025 5th-round pick and a 2026 6th-round selection. And Khalil Herbert going from the Bears to the Bengals.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on this Wild Card Wednesday, brought to you by Box Eye Care. Some of the topics we have today is the Would You Rather. Would you rather have a dominant game by Jalen, i.e. like Georgia earlier this year? Would you want to have a dominant game by the running back room, kind of like we saw last time against Missouri? Would you rather the defense have multiple sacks, multiple interceptions? We're going to talk about college football playoff rankings, and we also have the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week and more.
What's up, America? Good morning, good morning, good morning. We're excited to have you up and out with us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. And as Xavier said, got a couple Would You Rathers. Once again, if you're just now tuning in, like Jed and Curtis Moore II, would you rather Milroe come out in UGA fashion or another dominant back-to-back game for the running back room? Would that be a good sign for the running backs and for the offensive line and thus for the offense? Hey, would you rather have multiple interceptions or multiple sacks? Something we did against Georgia on the INT front. But also, this team just doesn't give up sacks. So would that be a good sign that they're getting to the quarterback in terms of sacks? And I guess the question is how many of each one of those they get. If they get 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, I'm taking the sack. You know what I'm saying? But we'll talk about it. If it's an even number, which one would you rather have? If it's just going to be one, how many would you rather have? And X, college football playoffs, Alabama's still sitting at the exact same spot, but they went out. I don't see how they're not in. I mean, it's just you can't put them in there at 11, and then they go through LSU, Oklahoma, and Auburn. Even though those teams are down, they're still SEC teams. Anything out of that poll kind of make you go, what about that? It was a couple things in there that kind of caught my eye. So we'll look at that. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so I will rejoice and be glad in it. Encouraging you to do likewise. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today, especially considering that we just finished up the presidential election for 2025. Like it, love it, or hate it, congratulations to the 47th president of the United States of America, Donald, I think it's J. Trump, won last night. And so we now, as Christians, are called to pray for him. And I had the same message ready, had Kamala Harris, VP Kamala Harris won, that we're called to now pray for our nation. So pray for our leaders, but get involved. Don't just let the vote be the extent which you want to see the change. Be the change. As I say all the time, be the difference you want to see in the world today, because it's not about the White House, it's about your house and how you run things. So, but once again, there's going to be a lot of rhetoric. I hope it doesn't lead to hatred and more division, but whichever way you look at it, excuse me, we have a new president who is a former president, and kind of crazy and amazing what happened last night. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about Alabama. We'll talk about, all that God calls us to do as well. So welcome in. X, take it away, man.
All right, so of course it is LSU week, and it is Wednesday, almost there, just a couple more days till game day. We've talked about some of the things this team needs to do, but we haven't talked about necessarily what we would love to see specific players do. So that's why we have a Would You Rather Wednesday, and that's why we're kicking it off with the offensive side of the ball, and it's would you rather see Jalen Milroe have a Georgia-type game, maybe an LSU-type game from last year? We've talked about the bye week and how he's performed coming out of bye weeks and how that seems to be the moment that he really shines and his game goes to the next level. He's healthy, or he's healthier than he has been healing up. Or do you want to see this run game, continuous dominance that we saw against Missouri? Talk about Jaden Roberts yesterday. He's going to be healthier. This offensive line, Elijah Pritchett, he had been banged up. He's going to be healthier at this point of the season after the bye. Which way are you leaning? Which way gives Alabama its best chance to win?
Let me see. Bam Bam 72 says, give me a dominant Milroe. So Bam Bam threw his out there, Bam Bam 72. And then he went on to say that would be a good sign for this offense down the stretch. This offense goes as Milroe goes. So let's just talk about that. Let's talk about, and I'm probably going to land on that side, but X, let's talk about dominant game by the running back room. What's the pros and cons of that, right? I don't really know of a con if the running back room is having a good dominant game. I really don't know if there's a negative to it. A positive to it that would help would mean that if Milroe continues off, that we're not one-dimensional, that we're not shut down. Like if we had a dominant run game against Tennessee, we still would win that game.
Right.
So if LSU doesn't, I don't think, present that challenge, but we will have a Tennessee-type defense in the playoffs should we win out. So that could be a very positive if they get that confidence. So that would be the first side of it, is a dominant run game, mean confident offensive line. We're not one-dimensional and could give us some options down the road. What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a dominant game from the running backs is really good, but if it's a dominant run game,
I'm talking about the running back room.
Yeah, I'm just the running backs alleviate a lot of pressure and everything. The running backs having a great day also still open things up in the run game for our athletic quarterback. So that's that feed, that's that positive of it. It's putting it is opening more avenues in the way that the offense can run. Versus if it's slowed down, if it's shut down, that also concerns me in the passing game. If LSU's defensive line is able to slow down the run game, because they're going to be able to pin their ears back, they're going to be able to get after our quarterback as well. So those are all the positives to it. I don't really think there could be a negative to having a dominant run game, but I think it opens up more avenues within the offense for even the passing game.
Yeah, so for me, on the other side of that, though, the Milroe, I think I'm still going to come down on the Milroe side, because I think the Milroe dominant game gives us everything. I mean, the Milroe dominant game like UGA gives us a dominant run game, not necessarily the running backs, but I think a dominant Jalen Milroe opens up the pass game and the run game. And I think that the coaches would better know how to use this running back room if we get up like we did against Georgia. I think they just kind of sold out the run game and just with 3 and out, and were no longer creative with using the running backs. Once they took away the outside run, they just kind of said, okay, we don't have something else. So I think a dominant Jalen does more than a dominant running back room, because I think you still get the same results with a dominant Jalen. Plus, I think Jalen is a much better passer when he's having success and the run game is going for him. So that's why I would take the dominant game by Jalen. Would you rather have? I'd rather have Jalen Milroe dominant versus running back dominant, because I believe that leads to the potential of a dominant run game.
And I'm going to have to second that. I think Jalen Milroe having a dominant game means everybody eats. And that's what you got to look at. I think that means Ryan Williams is having a good game. Jeremy Bernard is having a good game. Dupree, Law, in the way that we can use him, is having a good game. You're talking about the running backs. You go to early in the season, Jam's big runs, Justice's big runs were due to the simple fact that the defenses were scared of what Milroe could do if he pulled it. So that happens with that. So it's the benefit. Now, does that mean the running backs run for 250? No. Does that mean they might run for 175 and Jalen runs for another 75 to 80? Yes. And so I think that's what the mix is, because it keeps the defense off balance and on their toes to guard every player on the field. You have to guard all 11 when Jalen's on.
Absolutely. Hey, let's get the break here. We got Robert who's waiting to get in on the conversation. We have a couple comments from Curtis Moore II and Bam Bam 72. We'd love to get your thoughts and your comments. You can do that by joining us on the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions hotline. And you can do that by calling 205-342-9904. That's the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions hotline. Comments, reactions, and questions on the live stream, all of those conversations and more. As we get to break, you're tuned into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. We'll keep the conversation rolling. In the meantime, during the break, go check out Box Eye Care, boxeyecare.com, or know that you can always give them a call at 205-342-0660. Your vision, our priority.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We do have inclement weather, but traffic for the most part, it's not doing too shabby. We had some earlier problems on 359 right around University. That's since cleared. And now we're looking at construction delays on 2059. This in the southwest direction here.
Live from Walk On Sports Bistro for Hillcrest Huddle. That's Brent Jones each week as the Hillcrest Patriots march towards the playoffs.
The Venue, your new favorite Tuscaloosa hangout, food, music, and more. Come and taste what's new at The Venue, whether it's Liza's Sweet Shop, whether it's the all-day breakfast and burgers from Ramajama's, or the quality food that you can get at Finish Pub. Great atmosphere, great time, great people, great environment. That's The Venue. You can find them on.
Or you can shop online at TuscaloosaCDJR.com. At Tuscaloosa Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, you pick it out and we'll work it out. Roll Tide.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go.
It's the Ford SUV Season Sales Event at your local Ford dealer. That's where you'll find great offers across the entire Ford SUV lineup, including Ford Escape, Expedition, the Built Wild Ford Bronco, and America's all-time best-selling SUV, Ford Explorer. Hurry in for amazing offers across a huge selection. This is Ford SUV season. Let's get going. Based on S&P Global Mobility 1946 through current U.S. total new cumulative registrations for all vehicles identified as SUVs.
And Fridays at the Free every Friday during football season with Tide 100.9 and Innisfree Irish Pub located at 1925 University Boulevard, downtown.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They've moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com, or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on this Wild Card Wednesday. We are continuing the conversation of Would You Rather. As we talked in the first quarter, we hit on Would you rather have a dominant game from Jalen Milroe or a dominant game from the running back room. But before we continue that and hop in on the defense, we have Robert from Mobile that wants to talk college football.
Hey, guys. Could you do me a favor? Could you tell me how the committee ranked them last night? Where's Alabama ranked? I kind of missed that.
Yes, sir. I got it pulled up. Alabama is number 11. Okay. I tell you that right off the bat. And Boise State is 12. Okay. And then going in descending order, Notre Dame at 10, BYU at 9, Indiana at 8, Tennessee at 7, Penn State at 6, Texas at 5, Miami at 4, Georgia at 2. The shock to me, Ohio State at number 2 and Oregon at number 1. And so to me, Robert, they are giving more credit to a loss versus a win. And what do I mean by that? They're giving Ohio State more credit for a loss to the number 1 team than they are Georgia a win over the number 5 team. Because and they're saying that a loss to Alabama is worse than the loss by Oregon, and their win over Penn State is better than Georgia's loss to Alabama and win over Texas.
Yeah, that's definitely the way. That's the way you could have to take it. Yeah, that's ridiculous. What's Ohio State's best win at this point?
Yeah, the Penn State and I'm assuming that that sometimes this thing is self-serving. They put Penn State at 6, so that props up Ohio State.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they put Indiana, who is 9-0 in the same conference as Penn State and Ohio State, if they put them at number 6 and put Penn State, at 7 or 8, then it drops Ohio State probably and puts Georgia in front. So
so Alabama at least controls their own destiny right now. So that's the main thing. I pretty much figured it would come out that way. They'd be in. It's just to where they would be. And I keep thinking back on when they first talked about college football playoffs, and all those folks were saying nobody's going to care about the number 11, 12 team. Boy, it didn't take long, did it?
Hey, well, it's not just. Hey, watch this though. Not just the number 11 and 12 team. What SMU is in the ACC? They're 8-1. A&M is 7-2. So they have a chance to be. If they win out, they're gonna have a 2-loss record like Alabama and like Texas. If Texas wins out and then loses to them, then you have LSU sitting there, which one of us will be out after this week. But then you have Ole Miss, and nobody's talking about this. Ole Miss has Georgia Arkansas this weekend? No. Georgia this weekend. And so if they were to pull an upset against Georgia, what do you look at what you have if Ole Miss beats Georgia, you have 8-2 Ole Miss, 8-2 A&M if they win. If Alabama wins 8-2, and Georgia at 8-2. And all of them have traded like wins.
I just can never. Everything you're describing is more excitement and more exciting than any of the old systems we used to have that all these Alabama fans enjoyed so much because we ruled it.
Right.
But we weren't having these conversations like what you're having right now. Nobody's going to care about the regular season. The regular season is going to be meaningless. Nobody's going to care about them. Everything they said was just totally wrong. And I was perplexed. They couldn't see that right off. But, oh, well, better late than never.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll let you respond after this. But here's the crazy part. We are 10 weeks into the season. Let this sink in. 10 weeks into the season. And before you get to a team that can't finish 10-2, is Louisville at 22. And once again, I think the voters, for whatever, they just hate Dabo Swinney. You can't. I mean, they have a 6-3 Louisville team in front of a 6-2 Clemson team. Missouri is at 24. Vanderbilt's not in. Okay, so that hurts Alabama. I mean, it's crazy. But there's 20, based on the chaos of what happens, there's 25 teams that have a chance to end somewhere between 12-0 and 10-2. 24 teams. And therefore, all of them technically could be in the ranking based on who they play the rest of the year. And people said the regular season wouldn't matter.
Yeah, the regular season wouldn't matter. Well, yeah, it's October and it still matters.
I think it matters more than it ever has. And I think more fans and more people, we're still engaged as Alabama fans.
Of course. Yep. Yeah, that's the only thing. The difference now is we'd be checked out by now looking for the regular season under the old system, under either the BCS or the 14 playoff. We'd be checked out and spared because we could have won the championship. This team wasn't told that, wasn't bad enough, but they couldn't win the championship, and we don't get a chance. Yeah, you still got a chance. How's that not exciting? And if all those teams you name, 25 teams have 2 losses or thereabouts, a good 6 or 7 of those teams, and not all of them are in the top 6, could still win it. A good number of them could still win it if they get hot at the end of the season. How is this not a better system?
Robert, it's a lot of people that just people hear something and they go, "Oh my God, this is the worst thing ever." But like you said, Alabama fans, LSU fans, Ole Miss fans, all these fans just in the SEC alone would be completely checked out. And for Alabama fans, we'd be talking about basketball right now if it wasn't for the 12-team playoff. But now these last 4 or 5 games of the season mean everything. And we're looking at LSU going, and LSU looking at us going, "Oh man, well, we get this win. We're seeing like our hopes go up, our chances go up. We can do this. If we finish strong, we can get in, we can win." And that's what makes it fun, because it is that little level of the NFL where you see a 6 seed in the NFC getting hot at the right moment, and you're going, "Man, if these boys went out, if they keep this up, they got a chance to win." And we've seen it happen before in the NFL. Now you have that level of excitement and parity in the playoffs when it comes to college.
Pittsburgh Steelers, yeah, we've seen that before. It happened in the NFL playoffs. The big thing, guys, is when the playoffs start, the games we're going to have. Goodness gracious.
Look, you're gonna love this, Robert. I'm about to Blind Squirrel Sport, who's a Georgia fan, who's a regular part of the show. He about to drive off the road right now. Let me tell you the team that could have the most likeliest chance, unless they fix their quarterback issue, to end up out.
Georgia.
Ole Miss could boat race Georgia if what's the name throws 3 interceptions again.
Yeah.
If Carson Beck keeps up the trend that he's on, 11 interceptions in the last 5 games, if he has 2 interceptions, you do not want to give Lane Kiffin 2 extra possessions. You do not want to do that.
Watch this, Robert, because they could lose to Ole Miss and then turn around and lose to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so exciting right now.
But watch this, Robert. Now this is to mess with the Alabama folk. All right. It's a possibility that we could win out and not get in. I just saw this, Robert. Just studying it out. Tennessee, Georgia wins, and then Ole Miss, but Tennessee beats Georgia. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now you have Georgia would have lost to Alabama and lost to Tennessee. Right?
Yep.
But what if the committee thinks Georgia is a better team than Alabama? And watch this. Georgia would have 2 losses. And then Vanderbilt upset Tennessee in the last week. Now you have Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama with 2 losses. How do they decipher which team gets the 11th spot? Because Alabama can't drop unless they put Boise State ahead of Alabama, and Alabama sitting at 12, but then they still would have to overcome the Georgia and Tennessee 10-2 team. And then you throw in Texas could lose to Texas A&M, and now they're 10-2, and they're currently ranked above Alabama.
10-2.
And then you have A&M who would be 10-2.
This is so boring. This isn't better for college football. I think Alabama will get in at 10-2. In the regard, it'll be tough. Number one, it's going to be a lot of chaos. There's more losses to come, so that will kind of take care of itself. But again, like you said, it is possible, mathematically possible.
But you could end up with 16 teams. You could end up, I think it's with 6 SEC teams, 6 or 7 SEC teams end up 10-2.
Yeah.
Any more expansion of the playoffs, you got to. If they expand the playoffs, they're going to have. I think they need to pay the players for these big games anyway. That needs to start being discussed.
The schools they're gonna start getting. I think it's somewhere up close to $20-something million that they'll have to revenue share. Here's what I love today, though, Robert. When people say, "Well, there just won't be any good game." Right now, Boise would play Texas. Alabama would play Penn State. Notre Dame would play Tennessee. And the worst game in week 1 would be BYU and Indiana.
And I would still be willing to place a bet on that game because it'll still be meaningful in the postseason.
That's what I'm saying is, even though that would be the worst game, but who wouldn't be watching that? Because if you're one of those top 4 teams, you're watching that game, your fan base is going, I don't know if I want that Indiana offense.
You got that right. All right, guys, I'll let you go. I'll catch you later.
Thanks, Robert. That's great stuff, X. Take us a break.
Yeah, hey, we've talked about the college football playoff rankings. Remember, if you want to get in on the conversation, you can call us on the Empowerment Strategy Solution hotline at 205-342-9904. But when we come back on the other side, we'll continue the Would You Rather. We'll be back.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We do have inclement weather, but traffic for the most part, it's not doing too shabby. We had some earlier problems on 359 right around University. That's since cleared. And now we're looking at construction delays on 2059. This in the southwest.
¿Qué clase? Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Visit the pharmacy at Midtown. That's the pharmacy at midtown.com. TJ and his team are looking for the opportunity to provide you with great services, including compounding, home delivery, and a whole lot more. You're looking for a great pharmacy that'll take care of all of your needs, including wellness classes, including health, and more. That's the pharmacy at Midtown. Call them at 205-579-9933. If you're looking for a great pharmacy, you need to try the pharmacy at Midtown. That's the pharmacy at Midtown, pharmacy at midtown.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky cloudy at times today and tonight. We'll have the chance of a few scattered showers around. The high today 77, tonight's low 64. Tomorrow and Thursday mostly cloudy. A chance of showers and storms both days. Highs between 75 and 78. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 68 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. As we kick off the second half, we're going to continue the Would You Rather conversation. But real quick, I just want to address this. You see how Blind Squirrel first says, I believe in Carson, because I'm going to talk about that one, the second one, really. But I believe in Carson because the coaching staff firmly supports him. Carson Beck has almost doubled Jalen Milroe's interceptions. And their fan is 0-2 versus Jalen Milroe. And their fan base has more support for Carson Beck and believe in Carson Beck more than our fan base believes in Jalen Milroe.
They're listening to the media, X. I'm sorry. Listen, the media will lie to you, people. But anyway, and I know I'm part of the media, but they'll lie to you. They'll tell you their opinions versus truth and facts. But anyway, the Carson Beck thing is interesting to me, X, is he's not just throwing interceptions. When you watch it, he's knocking the other team down. You're like, he's knocking the other team down. Like I can show you at least, I know 2 of Jalen's, I know three of Jalen's were tipped or flew up in the air or something else, but actually his receiver had a chance. Carson Beck has had about 4 or 5 where
he threw straight to the guy.
Where you're like, what was he looking at? So anyway, we want to get to our conversation, X, but we do have a caller. We want to get to that next because we do have the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week coming up next. But Bishop from Baton Rouge, what's up, Bishop? How you been doing, man?
I'm doing okay. I had to call y'all this week because 2 years ago, I told y'all that Aaron Anderson would be at LSU, and Xavier, you did not believe me.
I did not, Bishop.
Bishop, and I wish you wasn't a prophet. You should have stayed in the bishop role. You're supposed to stay in the bishop role.
Hey, Bishop Martin, I am a prophet with a more sure word of prophecy. Yeah, see, the problem is I understand that young man. I don't hear nothing in the street, but I know him and I know where he's from. And when you understand the culture of New Orleans, they are tough. They think they're better than most people think. They just got that attitude, and you can't set him down. He's going to go somewhere where he's going to play. I think he has 4 touchdowns and over 600 yards. And he's not
Bishop,
the number 1 receiver on the team.
I gotta ask you a question on that. If he hadn't been hurt, and if he hadn't been hurt, he would have been playing at Alabama. Guys like Kendrick Law and Kobe Prentice that passed him in his class, he would have been in front of. So, and that's why I kind of made my viewpoint through, because I was like, this guy would have been on the field if he'd been healthy, and if he wasn't, and if he, so that's why I thought he wouldn't transfer, because I knew if he'd been healthy, he would have been playing.
And I would say this to it, Bishop, before you respond, Bishop. I would add this to it too. This was one of those where I really think this was not I'm just leaving because I don't like you. I think first of all, I think he got offered some stuff, and I'm totally fine with that. But the other side of it is because when I saw the love and embrace from him and Coach Saban, that was 2 people that respected each other, because Saban actually said you would be playing more here for me than you are now. Because Anderson didn't break out that first year he was there.
Right. You're right.
The good Lord, I saw another night, Bishop, when he caught that pass against A&M. I was like, man, he could be doing that for the Tide.
And man, he runs excellent routes, and he sits down in the zone. He sits down in the zone, and he's a little tough guy. He's tough,
Bishop,
for his size.
He's a big guy. This is what I try to tell Alabama people. Let that sink in. Aaron Anderson. What's that dude out there in Texas?
Isaiah Bond.
I'm just messing with Bishop. I be messing with him. Isaiah Bond, Jacoby.
Who else you want me to call? JoJo Earl.
JoJo Brooks, and Trayshawn Holden. All of those guys
at Oregon.
That senior, that group of receivers were juniors and seniors on this team.
Yeah,
Woo!
yeah.
But as good as Ryan Williams is, he wouldn't touch the field with all. He'd still be in high school, I think.
I ain't gonna say that now, X. I ain't gonna. Hey, Bishop.
Yes, sir.
Corey
Hey, listen.
It'd be tough.
My thing I always say is this, Bishop. I say, you tell me. I've always said this, but I've had to change it a little bit this year. I've always said, you give me a 22, 23-year-old player, and you can have your 17, 18-year-old 5 stars. And now I have to say, unless it's Ryan Williams.
Yes, sir. What do you guys think about Lacey? Man, I think he's the best receiver in college football.
Man, Kyron Lacey is an absolute dog. That dude's a baller, and he's finally gotten his chance to shine because of the guys that LSU have had. He's amazing, Bishop.
Yeah, right. I think what Bama's going to have to do is put pressure on Nussmeier. They got to get him off of his spot. Yes. Got to put pressure on him. Yeah.
Yeah, agree.
Yes,
agree.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Man,
okay, Jim.
For your calls, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Everybody else always asks me if they got a prediction. I ask you if you got a prophecy for Saturday. If it's not Alabama winning, I'm gonna call you a false prophet now.
Okay, it's gonna be hard, Brother Martin, because you're gonna be here in Baton Rouge, and those fans over there at LSU. It's gonna be hard. The reason I've liked Alabama is because I like Coach Saban. Really, that was I admire his leadership style. And as a pastor, I don't know if my wife said I'm like Saban as a pastor. So, but it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough for Bama to come here and win.
Well,
it's gonna be tough.
We're gonna hope that our tradition of winning in Baton Rouge continues, Bishop. But I'm glad you didn't just come out and call for. See, last time you called up and told us Aaron Anderson is gone, and we counted him all around. At least you giving us a chance, so we'll take that.
Okay, all right, Bishop. You guys take care now.
Take care.
Yeah, you have a good one. All right.
Xavier, it's so many callers. We have such great callers, and some call more frequent than others. But that's when I was picking the show in the tagline of, the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. The whole concept behind that is this show is about giving a place for people to talk, and we don't let crazy nonsense callers call up and just keep ranting and raving. But you come in with some good content, good takes. We're gonna let you talk, and we'll challenge you and all that. But your team, which means that even if it's gonna be a Sound Alabama, but if you are the other team, you can call up and we'll let you talk, and then we're gonna dog you. But
yeah.
But I love Bishop when he calls, man.
Right. Before we get to break, let's hit this. Do you want to see this defense get to the quarterback and get them to the ground more this week? Or do you want to see us maybe get pressure, but get them to let that ball go a little early?
Well, I would say, X, I hope we start off getting pressure and get a couple of early sacks.
Okay.
Or one sack early and then pressure, because I think that'll lead to interceptions. And the reason I'd rather Alabama get interceptions, whether it's one or two or three, I'd rather ultimately end up with more interceptions than sacks for this reason. You can create issues by creating pressure. Therefore, you can create the opportunities for more interception. Interception takes the ball out of their hand. They can't score if you get an interception. They can score after a sack.
They can always make a play. Yeah, they can always make a play after a sack.
They can always. So anytime you can stop a team and get the ball back and double up on possessions, it favors your team. Even though we haven't had great success on scoring off of turnovers, it still stops the other team from scoring and resets the clock. So I would say I'd rather us have more interceptions and turnovers than I would sacks, because you can still create havoc with pressure if you don't get the sack.
As Curtis Moore said, as long as we get off the field on third down.
Amen, Curtis Moore. Yeah, that's awesome. What about you? We need to get the break quick.
I agree with that. But if we get in that 5-6, if we get full round in that 5-6 sack range, I might take that a little bit more. But if we can get 2-3 interceptions like we've been doing the last few weeks, I would definitely take that. I think these guys are playing good. They're playing solid. Malachi Moore is turning it up in the secondary. So I'm going to go with interceptions over sacks.
All right. Hey, come back on the other side. We're bringing Scotty Hollins, Executive Director, Blueprint Ministries, on this Wild Card Would You Rather Wednesday. This is Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston. And we are the Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Harris. Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. It's the Hump Day edition of the Gary Harris Show, and we are loaded. We're going to have Matt Coulter on NASCAR, plus Larry the Music Man, and we'll have another guest as well, plus your phone calls. And that NASCAR conversation is going to be hot, by the way, as we are down to the final race coming up Sunday for the NASCAR Series Championship. That's the Gary Harris Show, Wednesday morning at 9 a.m.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We do have inclement weather, but traffic for the most part, it's not doing too shabby. We had some earlier problems on 359 right around University. That's since cleared. And now we're looking at construction delays on 2059. This in the southwest direction here between
innovation. Experience the wow factor. Contact Shoot Masonry and Specialties at 205-887-3807 today and unleash your home's full potential.
The Venue, your new favorite Tuscaloosa hangout, food, music, and more. Come and taste what's new at The Venue, whether it's Liza's Sweet Shop, whether it's the all-day breakfast and burgers from Ramajamas, or the quality food that you can get at Finish Pub. Great atmosphere, great time, great people, great environment. That's The Venue.
Or enjoy free shipping to your home on purchases over $25. Your new Academy Sports and Outdoor store is located at 4610 U.S. Highway 280 in Birmingham.
Houston Hydrosteam. That's Houston Hydrosteam. Quality work you can stand on. Whether you're looking for carpet and upholstery cleaning, oriental rug cleaning, residential or commercial water damage, and a whole lot more, you need to call Houston Hydrosteam at 205-553-9460. 553-9460, or visit them online at HoustonHydrosteam.com. And once again, Houston Hydrosteam is quality work you can stand on.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. It's now time for the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week with Blueprint Ministries Executive Director Scotty Hollins to encourage us how we can incorporate our faith into the boardroom, the classroom, or our chosen field of play. Take it away, Scotty.
Thank you, Martin. Hey, we're going to continue our series, Fundamentals That Build a Firm Foundation. We spent several weeks on the fundamental of spending time in God's Word, and now we have jumped to the fundamental of fellowship, spending time with other believers. And so last week I encouraged you to, consider, if you're not plugged into a local body of believers, also known as a church, consider starting to look and finding one. And if you maybe say, I've been out for a little bit, I need to get back in. Hey, no time better than right now, this Sunday, to get back into the groove of connecting with a local body of believers. Fellowship is so important. Our verse that we looked at last week was, and let us consider how we may, and this is Hebrews 10:24-25, and let us consider how we may spur one another on towards loving good deeds. And then he was talking to somebody here. He says, and not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as we see the day approaching. That was our message from last week. And so when we talk about getting together, and the importance of that, one is just being obedient. God commands us to connect with believers and to to worship together. And so that's a command. But then the other thing is, man, there's so many benefits. Obviously, you can benefit from the message that's preached. You can benefit from the people that are there. But listen, people will benefit from your presence as well. One benefit that I believe is really important for all of us, especially in this environment, is this verse. It's Galatians 6, verse 2. It says, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ." I think, Martin, we need to be able to be in community so that when life happens, and it happens often, I've heard different phrases that communicate how life comes at us. But here's what I want to say: like, not only be plugged into a local church, but maybe a smaller group. Some people call them small groups, but whatever you want to call a community group, whatever you want to call that smaller group, where these are the people that you're literally doing life with. Here's what's important. When you have a group like that, then when life happens, you have people who you know, who you trust, who you love, who you know love you and trust you. Guess what? You have those people that can help you, guess what? Carry the burden. And even, obviously we can flip it. You can help them carry their burdens. That sweetens the fellowship. That deepens the relationship. And so here's the thing. There's a verse in the Bible that talks about, hey, God will never put more on us than we can bear. And I love that passage. And I'll be honest, man, I've been through stuff, and I know everybody can say that you've been through stuff. You say, hold up, Lord, I don't know if I can bear this. I'm going through this, but it seems like more than I can bear. But I think we have to include this verse, Martin, that says that we should bear one another's burdens. So as we consider him not putting more on us than we can bear, we also have to include and bring into view the fact that as believers, we should help each other carry one another's burdens, so that maybe it's more than we can bear alone, but not more than we can bear in fellowship, in community, as others help us carry that burden. Martin?
Amen. That's awesome. Were you wrapping up, man? Because that is so good. That is so good, Scotty. I would encourage our listeners and viewers, a couple things. One is you talk about don't forsake the fellowship. Don't forsake the team meeting and the practices.
Absolutely.
Because that's where you get ready for life. That's where you get ready for the game. What you see on Saturday of your favorite college team, or Sunday of your favorite NFL team, or this Friday when Alabama plays, man, that's a result of them having been together in fellowship, learning the playbook, practicing the playbook amongst friendly fire, and helping and holding each other up. One of the cool things, did you talk about the burden? I was talking to someone yesterday, and they said Mark Sears will be a better player down the stretch this fall because he's going to be able to rest more through the season. In other words, someone else is going to take some of the burden off of him. And that's the power of fellowship, Scotty. That's the power of us being in fellowship together. God didn't mean for us to do isolation alone. That's why he called us the body of Christ. Any amputated body part dies eventually unless it's reunited. We're all a body, one big body. So tell them where they can find you, man.
Absolutely. You can go to www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. You can send me a message there and come straight to my email.
All right. Hey, that's Scotty Hollins. I'm Martin Houston. Xavier Houston was on with us earlier. He'll be back tomorrow for some recruiting news. That's Chase Brumfield. And we remind you to trust in the Lord always. Lean not in your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. And hey, that scripture needs to be applied even more today as we come out of a presidential election where virtually half the country wanted one guy and the other half wanted a gal. But hey, listen, God is still sovereign and in control. And hey, he sets all authority in place. So let's pray for our president. Let's pray for our nation. But most of all, let's let our light shine as individual Christians who are united under Christ and not just under the flag. In Jesus' name, y'all have a blessed day and a great, great night.